Shalom. Shalom and welcome. This is the beginning of a new series of messages regarding end-time prophecies as they are related to those who will be among the ranks of the 144,000 and multitude mentioned in Revelation chapters 7 and 14. It is a message to true Yashar'al, representation from the 12 tribes, and Lampstands, who represents the assembly. The 7 golden lampstands brought together as one who will represent an assembly of believers who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father Yahuah and who have come to accept Yahusha as Messiah. These words are to you, and it is to you I consider my brothers and my sisters. This new series of messages will have the header Extinction Protocols, Preparing for Transitions. Consider 1 Corinthians 15:50 and 1 John 3:2. Consider 1 Corinthians 15:50 and John 3:2. This marks the introduction to extinction protocols, and this introduction will be in 3 parts for the ease of listening. My brothers and sisters, I realize that this title might seem alarming, troubling, maybe even frightful to some, or many will just dismiss it altogether. If these words have reached your ears, it is with purpose. Choose wisely how you will manage these messages. My brothers and sisters, this series begins, and like I said, it is a message to those who I believe will be among the olive trees, true Yashar'al and lampstands, the assemblies. Representative of the 12 tribes and a multitude of every nation, kindred, and tongue who seek to do the will of the Almighty Father. Allow me to present the following opening scriptures as we move into this series of messages, which I believe are very critical and real. Again, this series of messages will be entitled Extinction Protocol. Genesis 2:7 says, And Yahuah Elohim formed man out of the dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils breath of life, and the man became a living being. That was Genesis 2:7. John 14:25 and 26 say, These words have I spoken to you while still with you. This is the Mashyach talking. Moving on to 26. Again, John 14:26. But the Helper, the set apart Spirit, whom the Father shall send in my name, he shall teach you all and remind you of all I've said to you. I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, each of us have a spirit, and that spirit is joined with the Spirit of Yahusha, and the Spirit of Yahusha will teach us and remind us and guide us and strengthen us. It is through the Spirit of Yahusha that we are reunited and restored into fellowship with the Almighty Father. 1 Corinthians 3:16 says, Do you not know that you are a dwelling place of Elohim, and that the Spirit of Elohim dwells in you? 1 Corinthians 15:50 says, In this I say, brothers, that the flesh and blood is unable to inherit the reign of Elohim, neither does corruption inherit incorruption. That was 1 Corinthians 15:50. Hebrews 11:5 says, But by belief, it says, by belief, Hanok, or some may say Enoch, he was translated so as not to see death, and was not found because Elohim has translated him. For before his translation he obtained witness that he pleased Elohim. Keep in mind, my brothers and sisters, to enter into the reign of Elohim there was a translation. Keep in mind what I read in 1 Corinthians 15:50, that corruption does not inherit incorruption. Keep in mind that I spoke of this earthen vessel, and that we have a spirit, and that the Spirit of the Most High dwells with us and with our spirit. If you're able to receive this, my brothers and sisters, then we will come to know the structure of these earthen vessels as we dwell within them. Moving on. Galatians 5:17 says, "For the flesh lusts against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are opposed to each other, so that you do not do what you desire to do." I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, our spirit joined with the Mashyach Yahusha, with our Almighty Father, are like pilots to these earthen vessels. And our brain and our cognitive factors and our rational and our academics and our own rationale will fight against the spirit and will battle against what is righteous. But I believe with all my heart, body, and soul that the Spirit of Yahusha will work within us, towards us, one towards another, to strengthen us and refine us, that we are able to possess these earthen vessels obediently. 1 John 3:2 lets us know that there will be a transformation. It reads, "Beloved ones, now we are children of Elohim, and it has not yet been revealed what we shall be, but we know that when he is revealed, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is." John 3:36 reads, "He who believes in the Son possesses everlasting life, but he who does not obey the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of Elohim remains on him." 2 Thessalonians 1:9 reads, "Who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Master and from the esteem of his strength." Notice, my brothers and sisters, John 3:36 and 2 Thessalonians 1:9 speak of everlasting life and everlasting destruction. Keep that in mind. Matthew 24:14 says, "And this good news of the reign shall be proclaimed in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end shall come." So there will be an end, my brother. There will be an end to life as we know it in these earthen vessels. There will be transformations. There will be transitionings. There will be practical transitionings as we are gathered together from the four corners of the earth for our final exodus. We will transition from one point to the next, and then there will be that final transition when we will forever be with Yahusha, our Mashyach, our Messiah. My brothers and sisters, it is so important that we come to know the structure of our existence. It would be wise to accept we have a spirit within these earthen vessels that we know as our bodies. The time will come when we will face a transition from these earthen vessels into a renewed person as described in 1 John 3:2. If you are able to receive these words as true, whether one say put off what is corruptible or put on incorruptible, or whether we use words like extinction, either way these earthen vessels will come to an end. In either case, these earthen vessels will be translated. They will cease to exist. For we know that it is said that these bodies came from the dirt, and they will return to the dirt. Or, as Ecclesiastes put it, all are going to one place, all came from the dust, and all return to the dust. That was Ecclesiastes 3:20. Ecclesiastes 12:6 and 7 reads, "Remember him before the silver cord is loose, or the golden bowl is broken, or the jar shattered at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the well, and the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to Elohim who gave it." 1 Corinthians 15:54-58 reads, "And when this corruptible has put on incorruption, and this mortal has put on immortality, then shall come to be the word that has been written, Death is swallowed up in overcoming. O death, where is your sting? O grave, where is your overcoming? And the sting of death is the sin, and the power of the sin is the Torah. But thanks to Elohim who gives us the overcoming through our Master Yahusha Messiah. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always excelling in the work of the Master, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Master." My brothers and sisters, I want to pause for a minute, for many struggle with Shaul's writing, and many will probably struggle with verse 56 when they say the sting of death is sin and the power of the sin is the Torah. You see, my brothers and sisters, without the Torah, without instructions, the laws from the Most High Father, His living word, then we would not know that we're doing wrong. So the power of sin is the Torah, because it is in the Torah that light reflects on sin. So many people fail to understand what this is saying. The light of the Torah, the light of righteousness, the light of the instructions from the Most High, it is the brighter the light, the more clearly we can see unrighteousness, the more clearly we can see the stench of sin. My brothers and sisters, given what I have presented, allow me to say this. There are three critical things one needs in order to live. I have mentioned them before and will mention them again. And I will also add that there is a fourth. Fresh air, fresh water, and food are the most critical of resources we need in order to live from a natural and practical perspective. And I am absolutely not remiss that man does not live by bread alone, but every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of our Almighty Father. The fourth critical thing is habitat, or a habitable place, which one can say in simplest form, shelter. Over the centuries, man's wickedness have increased astronomically. It has resulted in greed and extreme neglect for life and land. The scriptures foretell of a time when all this wickedness will be laid waste and come to an end. We who desire to do the will of the Almighty Father Yahuah have come to accept Yahusha as our Mashyach, our Messiah. We have become familiar with instructions and warnings regarding the approaching end, and we have come to know these seasons, these events and conditions that are unfolding, reflective as end-time prophecies. I will pause here for part 1 of this segment. I invite you to stay tuned for part 2. Be encouraged, my brothers and sisters. Righteousness will emerge as we are refined. Righteous processes and refinement have their purpose in our lives, and there will be a time of extinction. Yes, my brothers and sisters. And believe it or not, if there was not any righteous intervention from the Almighty Father, mankind, or man as we know it, and many other living creatures will probably be extinct. Some say within this century. I say within the next 20 to 25 years, if there were not interventions from the Almighty Father. For it is His plan that is unfolding. Pray and watch. Until next time, stay tuned for part 2. This is still the introduction, for there are some critical things that must be laid as groundwork for this series that's entitled Extinction Protocol, Preparing for Transition. Stay tuned for part 2, my brothers and sisters. Shalom, shalom, shalom.